Are you looking for some super easy games to entertain your friends and family this weekend? Or are you simply looking for a range of party games that anybody can play? Well, in this video, we look at 5 of my favorite party games that will spice up your game nights. Hey dude, our friends are on their way. They're pretty new to gaming. What sort of games should we have lined up tonight? Alright, give me a sec. I think I've got the perfect games that anybody can play. Alright. First game's in this bag. How about we start with a really easy game first and spice things up? Spicy is a bluffing card game with a really hot theme. Tigers eating chilies, that is. Throughout the game, players are essentially trying to empty their hand of cards by placing them face down in ascending order following a suit determined by the lead player. Now, the twist here is that players can essentially lie about whatever is on their card, or they can tell the truth. They can lie about the number, the suit, or they can lie about both, as long as no other players at the table have challenged what they've placed. If players can empty their entire hand of cards first, they gain a trophy. If they can do it twice, they gain 2 trophies and automatically win the game. Otherwise, when the end of the world card appears, whichever player has challenged successfully the most and gained the most number of gold cards will win the game. Players begin a game of Spicy by sucking down on a red hot chili pepper before drawing 6 cards. Across the game, players will be playing a card from their hand into a central face down discard pile by declaring both its number and spice suit. The cards are numbered from 1 to 10 in 3 different spice suits, including the red chili pepper, blue peppers, and green wasabi. There are also cards that act like wild cards, where they are either all of the 3 chili suits or all of the numbers from 1 to 10. The starting player begins a new round by playing a face-down card numbered 1 to 3 of any chili suit and announces it to the group. The next player in turn order places a card on top that matches the starting suit and a number that is higher than the card that was placed before it. The plays continue like this until a number 10 card is played, and then the cycle can begin again from 1. Players keep playing this way, following the suit and increasing the numbers in ascending order until a player interrupts a round and challenges the last card that was played. A challenge is initiated when one player thinks another player is lying about the card they just played. The challenging player must declare whether the suit or number on the last card played is false, calling the active player's lie. Whoever wins the challenge wins the entire stack of cards for that round as victory points, and the player who lost draws 2 cards and starts the next round. If a player ever completely empties their hand of cards and is still remain unchallenged, they acquire a 10-point trophy. If a player ever has 2 trophies, they immediately win the game. Players continue until the World's End card is revealed, where whoever has the most points wins the game. Spicy is a deliciously fun party game treat where all the information is half-baked and can be challenged. Players can get by in this game if they can simply convince the other players that what they have announced and what they've played is legitimate and real. What's really interesting about this game is that you can tell complete lies or half-truths and completely get away with it. You can follow the suit that everyone's playing, for example, if it's a green wasabi, but if it's a number that you need to play that you don't have, for example, if I've got a green wasabi 2 in my hand and I need to play one that's higher than 8, I can still get away with it by telling half the truth and say, you know what? I'm playing a 9 green wasabi, and if someone challenges you, they got a 50-50 chance of calling you out on one of the lies that you might have made. And if they call you out on the suit, you still win the challenge and you still gain the pile of cards into your collection and earning them as victory points. The bluffing element in this game is super strong, and yet it feels quite strategic and tactical at the same time. The wild cards add some extra surprise elements to the game that provide for some very laugh out loud moments. Have you ever wondered what your friends or family are thinking? No, because that would be creepy. Well, in Medium, players essentially competing against each other, yet also working with the people on either side of them to combine their thoughts to come up with and think of a common word or linking concept or idea that occurs between 2 key words that are in front of them. If players can think of the same word and announce it at the same time and think of the same wavelength, they'll achieve victory points, and the player with the most victory points will win the game. In a game of Medium, players will sit in a circle facing the other players in the group. Each player begins the game with 6 cards in their hand, and the person to the left of the starting player plays a card from their hand in front of them. The active starting player then looks at their left partner's word and plays a card from their hand that they think them and their partner will be able to match with.
For example, the words could be wizard and glasses. Each of the two active players then have to think of a word that connects both of the keywords in front of them, finding a medium. They count down from 3 and say the word or concept at the same time. If both players say the same concept, for example, Harry Potter, then they both take a level 1 mind meld point token and place it in between them. However, if the words do not match, they must repeat the process by finding a medium between the two new words that were just said without repeating a previously stated word. If they succeed, they get a level 2 token, and if after the third attempt no connection is made, the play moves to the next pair. Players are essentially playing and scoring points with the person to the left and right of them, so they'll need to make sure that they work well with either person. Players continue until the 3 broken crystal balls are shown, and each player adds up the total score from the point tokens from either side of them. The player with the most points wins.
What I really find fun about Medium is the challenge of trying to think of a medium or connecting word or idea with the person next to me and trying to get in their mind and think, are they thinking of the same thing that I'm thinking? Is it obvious to them what's obvious to me, and vice versa? And there's that great feeling of success when you do connect on the very first try. And there's often situations that have appeared in this game where what you thought was an obvious connection was not obvious to the other player. There is a lot of hilarious laughter and value that comes out of this very small box of cards, and I found that with multiple plays, players tend to get much better and more confident as they play this game. It is a game of great semantics and also thinking along the same lines as everyone else. So if you're playing with Auntie Carol there, you're going to have to think what Auntie Carol thinks. And if you're playing with Uncle Trevor over here, you're going to think, what would Uncle Trevor think? It is a game that really well and truly breaks the ice and has you sharing ideas. I really like how the point token system works, where you share your points with the person on either side of you, meaning that you can't just connect with your best friend over here, you also got to connect with your grandma that you only see once every year. Pictures is a photo deduction guessing game which has players building and recreating photos using a range of different materials, kind of like the sculptures in a contemporary art gallery. Players then attempt to guess what photos the other players have depicted in their creations. The player who is the most perceptive and interpretive of all will win the game.
Pictures is a game that draws on players' ability to visualize, create, and interpret photographs. Throughout a game, 16 images are laid out in a 4x4 grid like some sort of kid's treasure map. Each player will randomly draw a coordinate from this black bag which will correspond with one of the photos on the field. It is important to note that each coordinate appears in the bag 3 times, so 2 or 3 players could be making the same image. Each player is then assigned a set of materials, either the icon cards, a short and long shoelace, sticks and stones, 6 wooden building blocks, or the picture frame with different coloured cubes. Players then build their assigned photo image using the materials provided in a way that allows the other players to guess their allocated photo. Players then inspect each other's creations and record their guess for each player on their score sheet before revealing their answers. Players gain points for guessing correctly as well as having their own photograph guessed too. The player with the most points wins.
Despite its very simple appearance, the Spiel des Jahres award-winning board game is actually delightfully creative. It's a beautiful guessing game that really evokes a sense of joy as I create my own art piece and then hope that other people can interpret the pictures in the way that I've interpreted and created it. I really feel like a true artist. I really like how each set of materials that players get to use in each round comes with its own set of challenges, and thinking outside the box in terms of how you're going to use those materials is incredibly expansive, especially when it comes to using these 2 different length pieces of shoelaces. Alright, I'm off to the shops. Now, where are my shoes? Pictures is a board game that really allows players' creativity to well and truly shine. I've loved this game so much that I've even created my own additional set of materials for a 6th player by using these Lego pieces. You can even add plasticine or assorted craft materials to add more players to the game. It's a beautiful game that is well thought out. Trap Words is a word guessing game in similar style to the game Taboo, except in this game the opposing teams come up with a list of trap words that the clue giving player cannot say when they're describing the word to their own teammates. Teams will be battling out head-to-head as they traverse across 5 different dungeons of increasing levels of difficulty, trying to avoid the effects of the curses as they do so. Teams will not only be battling with each other, but they'll be trying to defeat a monster at the end of the dungeon, which provides an additional level of threat. The players who can step through the dungeon whilst avoiding all of the trap words will win the game.
Trap Words is a word game heavily inspired by Taboo, Codenames, and Decrypto. It has players dividing into 2 teams, with each team electing 1 teammate to be the clue giver per round. Each team is represented by these band of red or blue warriors, as well as these very fancy survivor-like torches. Each team begins in the dungeon numbered 3. Each room along the dungeon progressively increases in number and difficulty throughout the game. The number in each dungeon represents the number of trap words the opposing team can set for the other team in that round. For example, the blue team can set 3 forbidden trap words for the red team in this round. In each round, the clue-giving player attempts to describe to their team a key word written in this teeny tiny book for their team to guess. If the clue giver accidentally says a trap word that was assigned by the opposing team, they lose the round immediately. If their team can guess the key word, they progress to the next dungeon and avoid the traps. Some rooms in the dungeon contain a curse card that makes the clue-giving element of the game much harder. And the monster at the end of the dungeon that players have to defeat adds additional levels of complexity. The team who reaches the end of the dungeon and defeats the monster first wins the game.
I like to describe trap words as Taboo version 2.0. It takes the core mechanism behind Taboo and gamifies it and adds an extra level of challenge and uncertainty. In Taboo, the words that the clue giver were not allowed to say were often written and prescribed on their card, whilst in trap words, it's the opposing team that comes up with that list. The part that I enjoy most about trap words is actually coming up with the list of trap words for the opposing team. Depending on how well you know each other and how well you know the other players will influence what sort of words you would include in that list. There is one additional thing to note. In our playgroup, we often house rule the type of clues that you can actually give. We often try and avoid using the names of places, people, and things, which can make trapping people a lot harder.
Now this is a problem.
What happened to Danny, I hear you ask? Well, I think he decided to take a little break for a while. That's it. Coup is a social deduction game of conflicting identities. Do you announce yourself as the Contessa, claim tax as the Duke, or steal money from the other players as the Captain? Nevertheless, it's a game of political influence and intrigue that is sure to liven up your game night.
Across a game of Coup, each player will be allocated 2 character cards which will form the player's true allegiance or identities throughout the game. Players could be aligned with the character of the Duke, the Assassin, the Captain, Ambassador, or even the Contessa. Each player places their card face down in front of them, and there are 3 of each character in the entire game. Throughout the game, players will be trying to claim coins by taking income from the treasury, foreign aid, or even announcing themselves as the Duke. When players reach 7 coins, they can initiate a coup against another player, forcing that player to lose one of their character cards. Players are ultimately trying to protect their true identities and alliances, whilst bluffing to the other players who they truly are. Even though a player may have the Captain and Ambassador card, they can tell the group that they have the Contessa and Assassin. A player who announces themselves as the Duke allows them to gain 3 coins. The Assassin can pay 3 coins to attack another player, forcing them to lose influence. The Captain can steal 2 coins from another player, whilst the Ambassador shakes things up by allowing players to swap their character cards from the main deck. The Contessa is super powerful because she can block an attack from another player who claims that they are an assassin. Players will take turns announcing what characters they have and what abilities they want to trigger. If any player thinks another player is lying about their identity, they can challenge them, with the losing player losing a face-down character. The last player standing wins.
Playing a game of Coup is like going to a masquerade. You never truly know who all the other players are or what they claim to actually be. You're putting your faith in what they say and the stories that they twist right before your very eyes, and hope that they're not taking advantage of you. Some players in this game play very truthfully, while others are playing the game by a whim, twisting and turning their lies and words at every chance they get. Out of all the identities that make this game so socially fun, it's the ambassador role that makes and changes things up, allowing players to change their identities, change who they've claimed to be, and shift into a new personality altogether. Coup is such a great hidden identity game that has a great level of social strategy that is incomparable. I hope you found a board game in this video that you well and truly connected with, or a game that you think would be a great addition to your next game night. If you really like this video, don't forget to smash the like and subscribe button, as well as comment in the comment section below any games that you think would make a great addition to this cool list. If you really want to get all of the latest news and updates from Board Game Sanctuary, don't forget to like us on Facebook, as well as if you want to support this channel and help it grow, don't forget to check out my Patreon page, link in the description box below. Otherwise, this is Danny signing out. I hope your next game night is an amazing one. Goodbye.